do we do? Should we make a start? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd make a start.
Yeah, make a start. Okay, well, thanks for everyone for joining us today. This is the fourth talk in the series, really. We've had 3 so far, and they've been focusing on creating, this garden metaphor about creating the environment, the right environment. So around the importance of relationships, the idea of getting to know each other, and the idea that learning is an everyday thing, that we learn all the time. It isn't always associated just with training. It's just, and the best way for that is to have conversations and to learn from each other and to be able to reflect on what you do and actually have some agency or ability to direct what you're doing so that you can do things and then learn from them. So that's the sort of stuff we've touched on in the first 3 workshops. The next 3 are all around once we've got an environment where we get to know each other and we feel like we can engage and with evidence and learn from it. These next 3 presentations are all around how do we gather and present evidence in interesting ways, really, because whether it be research or lived experience or knowledge from care workers. So I'm really pleased for this first of this little trio of workshops. We've got Suzy, Webster and John Ratigan. Suzy, a lot of you will know if you work in care homes. She's the sort of Esther Ranson of Welsh care. Suzy's done loads of work with My Home Life Cymru and a champion for the wonderful work that goes on in care homes, and she works in Age Cymru. So it's just great. Suzy, she loves care homes, and care homes love Suzy. So it's really nice to have you, Suzy. And John, I've been introduced to John recently, and again, he's a lovely guy and a storyteller. I'm sure they'll introduce themselves a bit more, but I'm going to hand over straight over to them because they're going to talk about how they captured, gathered, and how they want to share with you some of the evidence from residents in care homes over the COVID. So it is quite a challenging subject, isn't it? And some people might thought, oh, I'm not sure, that might be uncomfortable, but I think it's really important that we gather that and then learn from it. So I'm really pleased that we've got this session. So it's over to you, Suzy and John. I'm going to mute.
Thanks, Nick. Esther Ranson. I'm not quite sure what to say about that, but there we are. I'll see you after. See you after class. Hi, everyone. Yeah, as Nick says, I'm Suzy Esther Ranson Webster, and I'm the Care Home Network Manager at Age Cymru, and have had the privilege of working in and around the care home sector in Wales for the last 10 years. And absolutely don't think there's been a time ever like what the care homes have been through in the last nearly 2 years now. So it's been a challenging time for everybody. I've had the privilege to walk alongside some of the care homes and the care home managers during this time. But we're here today to talk to you about our Tell Me More project, which, as Nick says, is all about chatting with care home residents. And the project came from Helena Herclocks, who had identified quite accurately that certainly at the beginning of COVID, it was very difficult to get to hold conversations with people living in care homes because of absolutely everything else that was going on. Care homes were in crisis and locking down. Nobody knew what was happening. The crisis in PPE, the fear, the worry, and sadly the deaths. So amongst all of this, the care home residents sat, and Helena really felt it very important that we try to find a way to engage with and talk to residents to sort of assess their well-being and how things were for them. We knew this was happening already in the care homes between each other, the managers, the staff, the residents and the families. But for us who sit outside the care homes and who are sort of supporting policy, it was important for us to hear directly from the residents themselves. So Welsh Government were able to fund Age Cymru to begin a project where we spoke to residents. It was quite interesting at the start, because Welsh Government kind of had this idea that we'd just ring care home residents and have a nice chat. But of course, that absolutely wasn't possible. And for us, we had to be so careful around the timing of the conversations that we were going to have with people. we had to be very much led by the care homes themselves, the managers and the staff, on when was the right time, because we were just a very small part of absolutely everything that was going on for people. So we decided to pilot a little bit of a project with 5 care homes across Wales, and they literally reached from Anglesey down to Newport, and managed to spend a bit of time with these care homes and find out how was the best way for us to talk to the people that lived in the homes. And we trialed it on Zoom to start with, and we had varying successes. Some Wi-Fi connections weren't quite up. Some residents, obviously, this wasn't an ideal way to engage with them. But what we found very quickly was that people really wanted to talk to us, because we were there. We weren't there to inspect the care homes. We weren't there to commission any services. We were just there to chat to people about what life was like during COVID. And we were incredibly grateful and shocked, actually, that people wanted to just chat. And what we heard was not just their experience of COVID, but we heard incredible life stories, incredible little things of every day that made life better for them. And what we heard most was how incredibly well supported and cared for people had been, even in such tragic and difficult circumstances. And we knew that was a really important message to send up to the policymakers, that care homes were working so hard to keep people safe and keep people engaged, and to become a smaller family perhaps than they had been before. So to engage with the care homes, we brought in John, who's with us here, and Emma, who's another artist practitioner. Do you want to just say a bit about who you are, John, and your background?
Yeah, so I'm John Ratigan, artist practitioner. As Suzy says, I've been part of Age Cymru's cartrefi project, where we go into homes and usually deliver art activities to elderly in care homes. For the past 5 years, obviously over the past 2 years, we haven't been able to do any of that stuff, so we're working online a lot. And as Suzy says, we came on board with this project. Kind of started as an idea. I kind of got into a care home before and done something with a questionnaire just to get beyond the kind of surface questions that people might usually ask people in care homes. And we started from those questions. And I've got the original questions here, but things like, one thing that people should know about me is that and they continue, one thing that makes me happiest is I get really annoyed when the most wonderful place I know is just kind of getting to know people really quickly and just getting to know what they like and dislike. If you were an animal, what type of animal would you be? Things like that, and trying to generate some interesting answers from people, really. And we use that as a basis, the initial basis for starting to build our kind of conversations from, and that kind of developed after that. So that's who I am, and a bit more. Sorry, Suzy. I added a bit to that.
That's absolutely fine. And John always totally underplays himself because he's an incredibly talented artist, filmmaker. And what we were able to offer the residents that we spoke to was to have a live portrait of themselves when they were chatting to us on Zoom, which became just a conversation starter in itself. Anyway, I think John's got a few of the portraits to show you.
If I can do this, let's try again. Share screen. Yeah, so there we are.
You got it.
There we are. Yeah. So these were what we'd initially do. Well, we did this in a couple of ways, really. We'd sometimes actually try and start a portrait during the session. So we might just do some sketches as part of the conversation. I guess one of the reasons we could have arguably used the video off the Zoom, but the video quality is usually terrible or incredibly mixed. The audio isn't too good either, but that's a whole other thing. But we thought, as we were art practitioners and we'd both done a lot of portraits before, that we thought it'd be very interesting to make the portraits to combine the portraits with the audio and to make a film out of them, which we'll show you at some point in the next hour. But these are the kind of some of the residents' portraits we've done. And we gave people the option of either taking the portraits off the video, directly off what, how they were during the session, or they could also send us a portrait that they really liked, like a favorite portrait, a photograph that somebody done of them. And we used those as a basis for portraits as well. And then we did them digitally, so they're done on a program called Procreate, which is a kind of digital art thing with an Apple Pencil. But the feedback's been great. I mean, largely great. They've all really enjoyed the portraits we've done so far. Some people are very particular and ask for some slight alterations to the eyebrows or something, or that the smile looks a bit weird, and we like to please everybody, so we change them until everybody's very, very happy with what we've done. But yeah, that's a selection of the portraits. When we actually come to make the film, the software requires a very particular thing, so we can't have smiles on the portraits. We have to give them a very straight face, and the software will then put the smiles in. So these are the kind of portraits we've done for people to be happy with, really. some funny ones as well. Yeah, there's a huge selection here. I could keep going, but there we are.
Yeah,
that's the type of thing.
They are brilliant. And so engaging for people as well. Like John says, he's had a few rejects. Could you take a couple of my chins off, please? But it has been very much part of this project, that the engagement with the activity coordinators as well, who've really loved being part of it. And so after we had piloted the project with 5 care homes, we were able to sort of start asking other care homes to come on board. We were lucky after the initial pilot that Welsh Government saw it for how brilliant it was, and were able to give us some more funding. So we're now currently in the middle of speaking with 100 care homes across all the care homes in Wales, as many as we can. So if you are a care home and you want to get involved, then please do let us know, because we'd love to chat to your residents. And this project could be seen as a really engaging and fun way to work with people, but it's been very, very sad too. We've heard some very sad stories and some very difficult things to hear from the residents who have lost friends within the care homes, or neighbours, as some of them would call their friends and neighbours in the care home. We've heard from residents who've been quite concerned about staff and staff burnout and staff retention. We've heard residents that talk very much about care staff as their own family, and that without them they couldn't have got through this. So we really wanted to be able to represent all of those voices. And as John says, after we've got over the initial who we are and what we're trying to do here with people, they're very open and very understanding and are really happy to share their experiences, which has been great. So we've been able to use some of the examples that people give us to inform Welsh Government, to talk to CIW about the way they inspect and things like that. So that's been the aim of the project, really, that we're hearing from the people, very, very much from the people that matter. The next steps are for us to speak, as I say, to 100 residents. I think we're up to nearly 90 at the moment. So there's lots of portraits of care home residents. We've very sadly lost some residents along the way. So we'd like this project to be as much up to date as we can. And what has enabled us is to follow the journey of COVID through the eyes of residents, which I don't think there's another project in the UK like that at all. And it probably wasn't what we set out to do initially. None of us, I think, thought we'd still be in this situation where care homes are still so severely affected by the effects of COVID and are about to hit the winter months, and that's a real worry for some of them. So we've been able to follow the residents' experience right the way through the highs and the lows of the last 18 months. So we wanted to take you off into some breakout rooms now, if that's okay, to sort of just have a little discussion about why you think it's important that we do hear from people with lived experience, why we do hear from the care home residents. We'd like to know from you how you do this within your care homes or within your areas of work, if you do, and how you do it, because we want to learn from you as well about things that we could do better for this project. And just a little bit of time for reflection for you, I suppose, just a little bit of space for you to have a little think about what it's been like for the residents over the last 18 months. And I'm saying that not in a patronising way at all. It's that you just get some time to reflect, because I think for the care home staff in particular, you've been on this big treadmill with very little time to step off it and think, what the hell have we all been through here? So it's just a few moments of your time to give some thought to what it's been like for the residents in the last 18 months. So if we can go off to our rooms, that will come back.